So what do I get for doing business with you? So if I'm going to give you money, what are you going to give me in return? And I think you got to think from a customer-centric point of view. It's not about your product. And it's not about what you want to tell the world. It's what they want to hear from you. 2008, I was working for a startup, Planet I, backed by Microsoft. We thought we were going to become the next big thing in online travel. And then the credit crunch hit. I guess people remember it now because we're into another economic downturn. So the stock markets crumbled, the global economy went south, and it became very difficult for startups to raise any kind of money. And it's not that I was surprised that I got laid off when they have meetings and you're no longer invited and they go out for coffee and you don't get to come with them and no one talks to you anymore. When you work at a startup, then you understand that your time is probably done. So when I got the call or to go for coffee, I knew that I was finished. And so, I didn't know what I was going to do, right? I had 3 kids, I had 1 mortgage, and I had 1 wife, only 1 wife. And what was my next step? I could go back to another startup. I could go back to journalism, which is where I came from, which was probably not a good decision given where journalism is these days. And so I decided to start my own business, providing consulting services, marketing services to startups and small businesses. And the one thing I realized with a mortgage and kids and a wife is that I had to start selling. But the problem was I'd never sold before. I spent 15 years as a reporter for the National Post and the Globe and Mail. I'd spent 2 years working for startups. I was a social media communications guy. I never went to a sales meeting, never did any demos. So it was like, geez, what am I going to do? And like anything, when you run your own business, you either swim or you sink. You learn to sell or you don't sell, and then you go back to the cubicle. And I didn't want to go back to the cubicle. I spent enough years in the cubicle, and I feel sorry for people who have to work in the cubicle. I'm sorry if you do. But then I figured that I had to sell, or that was it. And actually, it turns out that I'm a pretty good sales guy. I enjoy sales. In fact, I enjoy selling more than I enjoy doing the work. When I get a contract, it's like, damn, now I have to work for them. Which is, I think, what motivates sales guys is they hand the work off to somebody else. So what I want to do tonight is sort of more of a personal story, talking about my own sort of approach to sales. Some of the things I want you to think about when you're selling, and then I'm going to have a little toolbox, my secret toolbox, which I will reveal to you for the first time ever. But before we get started, I just want to do sort of a show of hands. How many people here in the audience think they're natural salespeople? None. Wow. Oh, okay. Very confident sales guy over there. Who's a good salesperson? Wow, that's why you're here, I guess, because the rest of you are terrible salespeople, not good salespeople. The thing about sales is easy when you think about it. I mean, people are intimidated by sales, and as Mark said, we all think that salespeople are, slick, fast-talking, Glengarry Glen Ross sort of personas. And the fact of the matter is, we're all salespeople. Think about how you sell your colleagues when you want to go for lunch, or how you tell your friends what movie you want to see on the weekend, or how you convince your partner that you want to go to Jamaica, you don't want to go to Alaska for your winter vacation. And think of all the things that you do during the day. Like, for example, when you have 3 kids and you have to get them to bed at night, that is the classic sales proposition. You know how hard it is? It's good for you. I'll read you a story. I'll sneak into bed with you. We'll cuddle for 5 minutes. I mean, all the things that you do to sell them to do something that they don't want to do. And that's the classic thing for sales. Most customers, they're not really sure whether they want to do business with you. They may think they want to. They may be interested in somebody else. And your job is to win them over. But we all in our daily lives can sell. And I think that's the biggest hurdle to get over, that I got over, is that I can sell. And we all have different styles. Some of us are hard, fast-moving salespeople, and some of us more soft sales. Like, I'm more of a soft sale guy. I don't push. I don't get people to sign on the dotted line. It's more like when you're ready, for me, then you're ready to buy. The other side of the coin is that sales is hard. Is that there's a lot of competition out there. Lots of different choices, both direct and indirect. Consumers are multitasking and they're time strapped, so they're not really paying attention to you. They don't have much time for you or your emails or your white papers or your ebooks or your blog posts. And at the same time, they're more informed than ever, because they have access to all kinds of information that 10 years ago wasn't available to them. So they know your pricing, and they know your features, and they know your competitors, and they know your executive team. They know everything about you. They know your financial results, and so there's no surprises to them. So you have a hard time selling them because they already know everybody. And that's a big challenge right now for a lot of salespeople. The biggest thing that I run into when I deal with startups is that it's all about them. And I think this is a classic problem for a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of small business owners, is that they want to talk about their services, their products, their features, their prices. And I say this sort of with tongue in cheek, is that consumers don't care about any of that. What they care about is them. They care about what they're going to get from using your product, how it's going to make them more profitable, how it's going to make them healthier, how it's going to save them time, how it's going to save them money. At the end of the day, they're really interested in benefits. And the question that you have to answer to them is what's in it for me? What do I get from using your product? I really don't care about your technology platform. I don't really care about the features, because I'll learn about that later. But if we're going to have a relationship, if we're going to start a relationship, and I'm going to buy into your selling process, I'm going to get into the funnel, then you need to talk about me. And features need to be front and center, or benefits need to be front and center. So what do I get for doing business with you? So if I'm going to give you money, what are you going to give me in return? And I think you got to think from a customer-centric point of view. It's not about your product. And it's not about what you want to tell the world. It's what they want to hear from you. And you is the biggest word that I think people should be using these days. You read a lot of web copy, a lot of sales collateral, and it's about we. You know, what we can do. We do this, we do that. We have these great features. We have this pricing that you should buy into. And people don't use you. We help you do this. This is for you. This is how we can help you. This is how we make your life easier. And when you're talking to customers and you're talking online or offline, it's about you. And you have to use you. It's not about you, the company, it's about you, the customer. Remember that. The other thing is that you have to make it easy for people to get what you do. As I said, we live in a very time-strapped, multitasking world, and people's attention span is about this big. The average person, when they visit a website, they spend less than 2 seconds to decide whether the website's for them or not. So if you don't make an immediate impression, if you don't tell them, we do this for you, and these are the benefits you get, then you're in trouble. So case in point, ironically, I got approached by a marketing company that was having trouble with their marketing, which is strange when you think about it. And they did all these workshops, and did presentations, and they did blog posts, and they did ebooks, and they got lots of traffic to their website, and very little of it actually converted. And this entrepreneur she's confused, she didn't understand, we're doing all this great work. And what it was is her website was confusing. It was obtuse about what she did. You went to her about page, and it was like, what do you do? I don't know what you do. And I think what you need to think about these days is you have to make it easy for people to sort of understand, are you for them? Do they need you? I often live by the adage that simple is better than sort of trying to tell everything right away. When I started my business, people said, well, what do you do? And I gave them a laundry list of all the things I can do for them. And I still do all those things, but at the end of the day, got confused. They didn't really know what I did for sure. And so what I did is I eventually narrowed the list down squeezed it down, and now I only do 3 things. I only tell people I do 3 things publicly. I do lots of stuff. But when you give people like a choice of 3 things, then they go, okay, I know what you do. It's like when you go to a diner, right? You have about, 10 selections, and it's easy to order. When you go to Denny's, and the menu's like 100 selections, then it's a little harder, although I guess people buy the Grand Slam breakfast because that's the easiest thing on the menu, right? So make it easy. When people come with your sales collateral or your website, or you're talking to them in public, you say, what do you guys do? Well, we do this for these type of people who need this type of help. That's it. It comes down to that. That's all you have to tell them. And what you're trying to do as a salesperson is just trying to crack open the door. You're just trying to get your foot in the door so you can tell them more. You're actually trying to get them to give you permission to give them something else, whether it's a visit to your website, or it's an ebook download, or it's a white paper, whatever it is, you have to start somewhere. And the easiest place is to start nice and simple. And it's elevator pitch, right? If you don't have a good elevator pitch, then you're dead in the water, because that is your calling card. That's what you say when you're at a sales meeting, or you're networking, or you're out for people for coffee. Whatever it is, you've got to start somewhere, right? So my elevator pitch is I help startups and entrepreneurs tell better stories, also known as marketing. That's it. That's my opening line. It didn't come easy. I worked on that for a long time, although it is really simple. But you really have to sort of get something that resonates with people, that they can connect to, and that actually makes them say, well, tell me some more, because that's the whole thing, tell me some more. And then, again, like your website has to be super simple. So I just picked one website, and this is called Plated, and it's kind of dinner, and it's delivered every week to your door. Simple, I get what you do, right? So the next step is, well, I'm gonna see what available plans are. And as a salesperson, that's all you wanna do to people is essentially say, I can help you, wanna learn more? And you go from there. So the sales meeting, I was asked to sort of go through some of the sort of fundamentals. So the sales meeting, we live in a digital world, but analog is still very powerful. We're very anonymous online, but it's very personal when we meet people. So when you do with salespeople, there's ways that you need to start. One is you do have to do your research. You have to be prepared when you meet somebody. So you do a background on their LinkedIn and their social media and their blog posts and everything about them, so you know who they are, what their problems are. And the other way to look at a sales meeting, it's like a first date, right? You're getting to know them. You're getting to know what their interests are and what they like and what they don't like. You want to find out what their goals are, what their motivations are, what are their points of pain, right? What are they trying to achieve? What are their goals at the end of the day, and how can you help them? And you're trying to get a better feel for what the fit is, if there is a fit. And one of the key thing when you're in a sales meeting is you got to listen, then talk. The thing that I found when I sell is I like to talk, but I also find that listening is really good, because you go into a conversation expecting them to sell you, like you expect them to sell you one thing, and then they'll tell you something completely different. And I find that the more you listen, the better idea you get about what you can sell them. Because like we're always trying to sell them something, but people actually tell you what they need. And I find that is that at the end of the day, you can shape your sales pitch to what people tell you. And that's the easiest way to sell, is that you sell them what they want, not what you want to give them, right? And one of the tricks I learned as a journalist is the secret of the pregnant pause, which is somebody's talking and they pause, and then you don't say anything. And then they talk some more, and eventually when they talk some more, that's when they give you the good stuff. So when I was a reporter, the best stuff came when I didn't talk very much. They just told me whatever they wanted to tell me, and I just said, well, just keep on going, keep on going. The other thing is networking. A lot of people have difficulty in networking. You don't know anybody, and it's really hard, and people are shy, or they're not really, sort of proactive people. And the thing about networking is, it's great opportunities. All you need is one or two opportunities when you network, and it's been a successful event. Like I'm a great one-on-one person, but I'm not a great group person. So my technique is I work the edges, look for people I know, then I work a little more, then I work a little more. And the other thing about networking is that we're all in the same boat, right? Like unless it's like a society or something that people know each other, we all don't know anybody. And everybody there is looking for an opportunity to engage with somebody else. And you never know where the conversations go. So you have to be a little confident, you have to be a little bit proactive when you network. And if you get one single lead, and let's say the lead is worth $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000, that's a great investment of your time and your energy. And pricing. Pricing to me is art and science. And I sort of get a feel for what people want to pay. And there are telltale signs that you can tell if somebody's got a budget, somebody hasn't got a budget. Sometimes I gauge my pricing on how much I want to work with somebody. If they're really a great and exciting company or a really good entrepreneur, then you tweak your pricing. If you feel that they have more money, they've raised venture capital, and they've got a bigger budget, then you raise your pricing. I was talking to a startup recently out of Ryerson, and they have the pricing page. I said, oh, you have 3 pricing buckets. And they went, well, that's not really our pricing. When we talk to customers, we kind of tweak our pricing, but we have to have something on our page. And so pricing is flexible, pricing is fluid, right? And it depends on how much you want the business. If you don't want the business, if you really don't want the business, then don't bid for it. If you kind of don't want the business, then price them something astronomical. And if they bite, then you got a problem on your hands. So it's a good problem, but you got a problem on your hands. We are, at the end of the day, trying to get people to close on the deal. And the way that I actually close, it's that you've met with somebody, you've sent the proposal, you follow up with them a day later and said, hey, what do you think of the proposal? If you don't hear from them, then you follow up a few days later, and if you don't hear from them, you give a follow-up a week later. And that's my technique when it comes to closing deals. I'm always looking to see if I can tweak them, see if I can get them to think about making a decision. And the other thing is if they get rejection, which is part of sales, a big part of sales, it's like, I don't care, really. I mean, I don't mean that sort of seriously. I do care when people reject me. In fact, my gut reaction when someone says no, it's like, why not? I can help you. My pricing's good. I'm a good guy. But the reality is there's lots of competition out there. And rejection is part of the game, right? It just means that you just weren't the right fit at the right time. And my approach always has been when I get rejected to send them a note saying, thanks for the opportunity, let's keep in touch, because you never know what's going to happen down the road with somebody else. The person that he picked may not do the job, or they may be too expensive, or somewhere down the line they may need marketing services again, and you're going to be the person that they talk to. So this is my sales toolbox. Website. This is your calling card, this is your digital business card, and you have to have something that's really crystal clear about what you do. Most small businesses probably need between 10 and 15 pages on their website. It has to be sort of, make it really easy to get people to understand what you do, how they can contact you, next steps. Do not get your cousin Bob to build your website for you. If you're gonna, don't cheap out on your website. I mean, there's lots of ways that you can cut costs, but don't cheap out on your design or your content. It's an investment, it's a long-term investment. I rebuilt my website last year, and it's been the best thing I ever did. The perception's reality, right? In marketing and sales, if you look good, then people think you're good, and that's a big lesson there. If you're on WordPress, that's awesome. If you're looking for a really great WordPress theme, there's a theme called Divi, D-I-V-I, really super flexible, and it's relatively inexpensive. Number 2 is the one-pager, otherwise known as the sales sheet. I have one here's mine that I use for my clients, and when I'm working for startups, I always say, what's your one pager? You have a one pager. And the one thing about a one pager is that it gives you a snapshot of what you do and how you can help people, but it's also an internal sales tool. So if you send your one pager to the VP sales or the CEO, he's going to circulate it inside your company, inside the company, to get other people on board. So it's one thing you got to get in somebody's hands, because they're going to become your champion, and they're going to use your one pager to sell. They may not send people to your website, but they may say, well, check out the guy's one pager. They like their product, like their service. The other thing is email. You read about people who say, well, don't spend too much time in your inbox. You should only check your email 3 times a day. And I break all those rules. I check my email all the time, probably about 50 times a day. I know it's bad and not very good for productivity, but it is my lead gen engine. It's where I find leads, it's where I connect with people, it's where I share content with people. I've got all kinds of, I've sort of pimped up Gmail. So you've got Signals and Yesware and Contact Monkey. Those are all email tracking tools. As a salesperson, you want to know, do people open your emails? How many times did they open your emails? Did they click in on any of your links? Geographically, where did they open your emails? What devices did they use to open your emails? You want all that information, because when you follow up, you already know what they're thinking, or you have a pretty good idea of how interested they are. SellHack is a great way of getting people's email addresses. So when you're cold calling or you're cold emailing and you want to send somebody a personal email, SellHack is great. The bottom one is attach.io, which is a great way of sending people a piece of sales collateral via a link that you can track, so you can see how many times they open that document. Streak is a free CRM within Gmail to track opportunities, and it also has an email tracking tool, so it's a really great tool. Most people should use Reportive, which is sort of a sidebar on Gmail. It tells you all the information about people's LinkedIn and Twitter activity. Outlook, Gmail, I'm a big Gmail fan. And the other one, if you're on mobile, iOS, is Spark, which is a new email client that I really love because it does all kinds of really great things. And then videos, I'm a great fan of videos. I guess people have seen Dollar Shave Club video, and it's an awesome video, and I get all my clients to do videos. I'm a real big believer in live action videos these days. You can actually get a live action video done fairly inexpensively. Animated videos, they used to be really popular, and I'm not really a big fan of them anymore. I think they look kind of cartoonish, and for B2B, it's not very professional. And finally, the business cards, old school. And so this is my brother's business card. His company's called Step Consulting, so he made a business card that looks like a step, which is pretty cool. Funny story about business cards. When I worked for my first startup, my friend and my boss said, go ahead and get us some business cards. So I went to the print house and I got light blue business cards that were really cheap, because I thought, well, we'll save some money. And he came really back with these light blue business cards, and he looked at these business cards and he flicked them like this, and he looked at the color and he was like, go back. So get good business cards, like thick business cards that actually, create an impression, because again, perception's reality. So if you have good business cards, then it makes you look good, right? And business cards are still alive and well. Like, people forget your name, right? You say, well, check me up on LinkedIn or Google my name. They never do that because they go on to the next thing. But if you got a business card in your pocket, then it leaves an impression. That's all you want to do as a sales guy. And final slide, which is a whole bunch of stats. So I'll share the presentation on SlideShare, but it basically says that you cannot give up as a salesperson. You have to keep on going. You have to keep on contacting. You keep on following up. It's a game. It's a marathon, really, not a sprint, right? And as salespeople, we're in it for the long haul, and you just have to keep on keeping on.